So, this Hurricane Irma, on the Doppler radar, you, you don't see it. It's not there on the Doppler radar. It's only there on the satellite. So, what do we know? We know that sound is real, okay? You can feel sound when you talk. We know that the Doppler effect is real. You hold a cup to your mouth and, it's louder than when and you can feel it more than when you move that cup further away. And then when you hear like a siren, this is the devastation of Hurricane Irma. When you have a siren, like a paramedic, and you hear it coming forward, and then you hear it going away, you can notice the Doppler effect there. So, what do we know? We know that sound is real. We know that. And we know the Doppler effect is real also. We know that as well. What else do we know? We know that radar is most likely real. How do we know that? Well, we know that cops can check our speed with their little radar guns. We know that they can, and they do that. We also know that I think it would be very difficult to, it would be very difficult for airplanes to, fly around and, avoid each other and land in the numbers that they do without radar being real. We also know that bats use something very similar to radar. I mean, it may not be exactly radar, but it's similar, as do whales. We also know that, what else? Again, you can take like a plate, right? You can take like a plate, and you can talk into that plate, and you can feel the vibration. And then when you move it away from you, you feel less vibration than when you have it close to you, as far as, when you have it away. And so if you can have some sort of device that can send radar waves and bounce it off of something and then receive the signal back based off of what you receive back, it would make sense that you would be able to understand how big an object is, how dense an object is, how big it is, how dense it is, maybe how fast it's moving towards you or away from you. You would be able to tell these things with radar or something like radar. So, in all likelihood, radar is a real technology that they actually have them do. Now, what don't we know? There's a dispute about satellites, okay? Satellites, many people say, are fake. Now, I'm not going to go all the way into it purely because there's so many videos on that. But the thing about it is this. A lot of people say every time you look at a rocket launch, it's always going up and it's always curving. And it looks like it's about to fall over into the ocean, but they cut the camera. There's that. And then the launches themselves look rather fishy and like they could be fake. And then, what's some of the other things? Some of the other things are, hold on for a moment. Some of the other things are, just the satellites themselves. They're a very advanced piece of equipment that never needs to be maintained, ever. I mean, if you drive a car, you know how ridiculous that is. You can't, I know someone who drove a car for a couple years and they never got an oil change and then bam, their engine just gave out on them. There was a real stupid person, okay? Now, if you can't drive a car like that, how can you drive a satellite 30,000 miles an hour like that with all of the debris and all the temperature changes of space and the space junk, and then you got comets and rocks and stuff, not to mention radiation. You have the harshest possible environment, right? But yet somehow these satellites can be up there perfectly, and they never, ever, ever, ever need to be maintained or any hands-on maintenance or anything like that. It's just ridiculous. I'm not going to get too specific, but I worked a job that they said we had to do certain things that required satellites. And whenever they said there was a problem with the satellite or whatever with the signals, they would always just, get these people and they would just raise the attenuation, and basically they would make the ground-based signal stronger and it would somehow fix the satellite. Well, what's really going on here? When they talk about satellite signals, what's really going on here is they're just bouncing the signals off of the atmosphere. I think they call it trophographic technology or something. I don't know, something like that. But really, they're not bouncing it off of a satellite. They're bouncing it off of the atmosphere. Now, I don't really know if they're going to be able to take a signal and bounce it off the atmosphere and only bounce it once and have it go like all the way around the world. I don't know if they have to do it in a chain and bounce it like 500 or like 1,000 miles here, get it back, then bounce it 1,000 miles and then get it back on Earth. But they're bouncing the signals off the atmosphere. They're just putting the signals through the atmosphere. They're not bouncing it off a magical satellite that's, electronic digital equipment that's in the harsh environment of space that never needs to be maintained, okay? That's totally, no piece of equipment on Earth can do what a satellite does in space, okay? It's totally ridiculous. So, we know radar is a real technology. We know, we can surmise very strongly that satellites are fake. So we can see this Hurricane Irma on the satellite imagery, but we cannot see it through radar. Why is that? Why can't we see it through radar? Well, we can't see it through radar because it's not there, okay? There are weather systems going in this southeast area, southeastern America. There are weather systems going on. We can see, various, an unusual amount of rain, maybe a bit of wind, but nothing like a hurricane. Hurricane Irma is really Hoaxicane Irma. It's fake, okay? It's not happening. I'm in the southeastern United States. I'm in Savannah, Georgia. A lot of people, they bought into fear, blah, 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 we all gonna die, strongest hurricane ever and all that shit. Well, they bought into it. They left, empty streets for the most part. But, there's some people here who know it's fake. There's some rich people in Key West and, the Florida Keys, and they know that crap is fake too. So they're staying in their house and, maybe they got a little bit of rain, but, the only people whose houses are going to be destroyed in the Florida Keys are like, the super rich who have mansions and you can't ever go there. It's private property. So it's private property. They could have just destroyed that as part of some hoax, right? But you go to Key West, the actual city, it's going to be fine. So you go to someone's mansion, Trump or Richard Branson have a mansion in the Caribbean, it's totally destroyed. Okay, yeah, sure. But show me the public city, the place where everyone can go and we can verify for ourselves. Well, the the hurricane just kind of missed that part, so that part's fine, but Trump's mansion is destroyed. Like, you know, screw you. This is a fake hurricane. So, like, what's the purpose of this fake hurricane? Well, the purpose of it, I think, is predictive programming. That's the purpose. Predictive programming. The purpose is you want to train people to get them to feel like refugees, to feel like they have to obey everything the news and the government tells them to. And you want people to feel as if, oh, we are hopeless refugees and yada, yada, yada. We got to do all this because of the worst hurricane ever. And really, it's just a thunderstorm. It's just a thunderstorm. It's nothing special. Okay? And predictive programming and training people like dogs to be afraid of everything. That's what the point of this whole exercise is, because it's really just an exercise for the most part. And yeah, and also it's also an exercise maybe on the government's behalf, seeing how well they can move millions of people from point to point, and also how well they can handle people being in temporary shelters and things like that. So from the standpoint of training people to be afraid, to listen to the news and government, and to bug out and to feel like they're refugees or whatever, from that point of view, and then also from the point of view of, you know, preparing the government to maybe move millions of people or to take care of millions of people, or basically a lot of people in a refugee situation, there's also that going on too. So I think maybe that's the purpose of this whole thing, just an exercise. And, you know, again, look at some of the videos talking about the Doppler radars not seeing Hurricane Irma, but the satellites seeing it. And you'll see what I mean. You know, it's like, you know, it's September 9th, 7:09 Eastern Standard Time. And, you know, they ain't nothing, man. Hurricane Irma is a big joke. So it's just a big fake out. So anyway, that's my video, and look for maybe a bunch more. See you guys later.